Hello, hello everyone. It's me, Arden Lee. I am back today with another video. And in today's video, I want to talk about the fact that it is okay, especially if you are someone who has a history of experience with trauma, with toxic relationships, with abuse or abusive behavior of any kind. It is okay if you choose not to trust people at first. It is okay if you feel that the best way to take care of yourself is by waiting that protracted amount of time to really feel into your heart and know that you can trust your discernment about a person before you open up to them or allow them into your life in any significant capacity. And I want to divorce that idea from the ways that it can often be thought of as selfish or callous or cruel or indicative of the fact that someone is damaged or has trust issues or what have you. And I want to reframe it as an act of generosity, not only to yourself but to all of your relationships, because of course, as you know, if you are doing something in order to better take care of yourself, then that is going to benefit all of your close relationships. So assuming that someone wants you to open up to them and to trust them or to give them your time, your attention, making sure that you're taking care of yourself first is actually an act of generosity to them too, assuming that they have your best interests in mind and the best interests of the relationship that they are pursuing in mind. And a person in that position should ideally be able to see where you're taking care of yourself by taking things slowly is positive for you and therefore positive for everyone. And if they are prioritizing their agenda with you over your own sense of safety and self-trust, even if that's just emotional safety, then they don't have your best interests at heart. And that should be a key to seeing, that maybe your discernment was right after all to not trust them immediately. So before I dive in and unpack a little bit more about that topic, my name is Arden Lee. If you haven't heard of me already, I am the creator of the Repatterning Project, if you're not familiar with me or my work. And that is an online course, an 8-week online course where we hack our beliefs and we examine all of our self-imposed limitations that get imprinted on us through years of social conditioning, trauma programming, some of our experiences in our lives running up against other people. And we look at all of those beliefs and all those algorithms and the ways that we function, and we examine them so that we can remove the obstacles that are in our way of calling in our success and happiness and fulfillment and abundance and all the things that we want to call in our life. So if that sounds like something that's up your alley, go ahead and check out the description box where I have a link to a PDF guide about the Repatterning Project that you can download and learn a little bit more about what we do. And I also have a link to the Facebook group that I moderate called the Repatterning Parlor. And you can go ahead and click through on that. It's a group of like-minded individuals who are coming together to support one another on their paths toward personal growth and happiness. And I would love it if you joined us there. So go check it out and tell me what you think. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this idea that it's okay not to trust someone at first. Oh man, you guys, I've literally tried to record this video now about 10 times and I keep stopping halfway through because I'm really trying to find a way that doesn't feel alienating or off-putting, to just frankly say that we live in a society where entitlement to people's attention is often due to our social mores. It is often heavily skewed based on gender. We live in a society essentially where, we have been taught that, and things are definitely changing. They're definitely changing for the better and they're evolving, but it takes a long time for all of this programming and conditioning on a societal level to actually, pass by, because it means that everyone has to examine their actions and what they're doing. And it takes a lot for people to do that in many cases. So we live in a society where men are taught to approach women, and especially in favor of searching for romantic relationships, and women have especially been taught not to approach men in many scenarios, in many cases. That's actually why I wrote my book, The New Rules of Attraction, is because I didn't like the fact that men had agency in who they were supposed to approach, and women seem not to. Of course, we live in a universe of infinite possibility, and we all have all the freedom and agency that we choose to give ourselves, but even though sometimes there may be many obstacles to remove in order to achieve that agency and freedom, it is still something that we are capable of looking into, allowing ourselves. We can certainly hack our way through those things. And but I saw so much advice out there for women saying, just sit on your bar stool and just wait for a guy to approach you. And I really didn't like that. So I wrote my own book about how to go out and make an approach, etc. But since we are still in the process of undoing all of this programming, there are so many gendered ways that it can show up where a man will approach a woman and he will have so much of his own self-image or self-esteem on the line as to whether this woman really wants to talk to him or wants to open up to him or wants to allow him into her life in some capacity, that when she says no for whatever reason, that he becomes angry or sometimes even violent, sometimes just energetically violent, like that anger that you can sense, or sometimes in many cases where we're seeing women who are getting murdered for not giving a guy their phone number or whatever. And I'm not exaggerating, I can't but I know that like there have been like, if you look it up, there have been like, I can think of like about 8 to 10 cases I've seen in the past 2-3 years where women have faced actual violence for turning down a man, and I'm sure it's like the guy who murdered that girl who like shot up a school or whatever because she wouldn't go to prom with him or what have you. And so there's so much pressure on women especially, and this really, like, this video applies to everyone. If you're a man, you're also not obligated to trust people as soon as they approach you, but I'm emphasizing women in this way because, as I said, the way that our society is structured puts a lot of pressure on women to either entertain and give men their attention, or or to face potentially violent repercussions. And certainly in any scenario, it's important to do what you feel is safe for you. It's important to to take care of yourself. And I just want to emphasize this idea that if you don't want to interact with someone right away, or you're not open to more dialogue with them, or you're someone who it's hard to get close to, that's okay. If it's working for you, then it's fine. If you don't immediately want to just open up to anyone who's approaching you, if you are someone who puts up walls to protect yourself, like even that phrase, puts up walls to protect yourself, that sounds pejorative even when I just say it casually, right? But sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes we have histories where we have trusted the wrong people before, where we have been unable to establish boundaries in our relationships, and we've been steamrolled as a result. We've been abused as a result. And it's really okay, especially if you're in that stage where you're still healing and undoing all of your trauma and really looking at all the conditioning that it put on you. It's really okay if you just don't want to open yourself up to everyone's energy. You don't owe anyone anything, Just even like just this afternoon, I was replying to a thread that that one of my friends had written, and I gave back an answer, and there was this guy who just started an argument with me about like what my reply was, and I was like, excuse me, like I didn't agree to this. I didn't agree to this dialogue. This is not like, no, I did not invite this. And naturally, as soon as I pointed that out, he got incredibly angry and started, ranting on me and just saying like just all these things about what a terrible person I was. And it's just like, it just really goes to show that, and this was just like a Facebook comment, I'm not like It's fine. This is a tiny microcosm, though. It's a tiny example of the way that so often we can do things in society on a larger scale. And so often there are so many people, women especially, but as I said, this video goes for everyone, so it's men too. There are so many people who are really brainwashed or gaslighted into believing that not immediately opening up to someone and giving them all of your time and attention means that you're somehow a cruel person, or that you're cold, or you're selfish, or what have you. When in reality, it's quite possible that you're really just taking care of your own energy field, and that you may have experienced things in the past where people really wanted something from you, and that they were approaching you in ways that were not in good faith, and that even people who may have seemed to approach you in good faith at first, perhaps were manipulative or were narcissists in the end. And it's okay if you don't immediately just want to go out and trust everyone like right off the bat. It's fine to do that. And it feels silly to me that I have to say this, but there are so many, especially in all like the love and light communities, there's so many valuations put on, being open-hearted, being vulnerable, and all that stuff. And that is, being able to be open-hearted and being able to be vulnerable is really, really important to our lives and to the human connections that we foster with everyone. But it's okay to not do it with everyone. And it's okay to not do it immediately when you meet someone. It's okay if you're going to an event and someone you don't know comes up and tries to give you a big hug, and you're like, no, well, I don't know you yet. Like, please don't, And I feel like that doesn't get talked about a lot. And I feel like people who do take care of themselves and do take care to protect themselves and are not immediately open and unguarded with just everyone, get painted in this light that they're as I said, either broken or damaged, or have trust issues, or they're unenlightened, that they're not as high vibe as other people. Well, let me tell you something. This world that we live in is not high vibe all the time. And it's okay to save that open-heartedness and that energy of connection and vulnerability for the people who earn your trust. And as I said in the beginning, if someone really does have your best interests at heart and the best interest of the relationship that they want with you at heart, they will be okay with your taking things slowly. They will respect the fact that you don't really want to talk to them right now. They will respect the fact that you don't want a hug right upon meeting you. And they will recalibrate themselves and in response to the energy that you're giving off, and they'll give you a little more space, and they might even ask you, hey, you seem like a little uncomfortable. Is there something I could be doing better or be doing differently? And isn't it amazing that if someone were to just like ask that question, how much trust and intimacy that could foster in that one moment, to be like, wow, thank you for noticing. Actually, yeah, I don't really like being hugged when I first meet someone. I always say, like, I shake hands hello, I shake hello, and I hug goodbye. If I hug goodbye because it's after we've already had an experience with one another. It's like after we've spent time talking with one another or spent time at an event and now we know each other, we've been introduced. All right, great, now let's have a hug. That's how I do things, for myself personally. But whatever you feel, whatever the way that you are taking care of your heart is, it also doesn't mean that you have to necessarily be defensive with someone. A really great line that I love to use if men are trying to talk to me at a bar is, I love to be really kind and friendly, but also very direct and straightforward. And I will turn to them and I will say, thank you so much for trying to be friendly. I'm really just here trying to, do some work by myself, or I'm busy with something on my phone, or I'm really just here to enjoy my meal in silence. But thank you so much for being friendly. I appreciate I appreciate that you wanted to start a dialogue with me. And there's lots of other women in this establishment. There's lots of other people to talk to. So best of luck. I'm sure you will meet someone who is a fit for the thing that you want right now. And a lot of times guys will be like, all right, cool. Thank you for saying that in such a nice way. Or sometimes they'll just be like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you, like, they won't even hear it, they'll just be like, why are you getting defensive? And I'm like, no, I'm not defensive. I'm just saying that I'm not here for a conversation. So that, that key, sometimes I often think that, as bad a reputation as, you know, putting up walls can get us, oftentimes I think it's sometimes a really good thing to see who's okay with respecting our boundaries. And if someone does respect my boundaries and is like, oh, all right, cool, thank you for letting me know and thanks for being nice about it, you know, then maybe that is a person that that I feel like I can trust, you know, or you know, sometimes it's more of an energetic relationship over a long period of time. Like I was saying, if there's someone who you sense is trying to get close to you, but they're respectful of the fact that you're not letting them in right away, then maybe they're worth the wait, you know, and maybe you're worth the wait too. So just know that there's nothing wrong with you if you don't immediately trust and open up to people right away. And with the ways that we condition women in our society, not only do we condition men to do the approaching and women to do the receiving, but we all also condition women to take care of the feelings of people around them, especially the men around them, especially because there is sometimes that threat of violence. And I just want to say that you don't owe anyone their emotional caretaking. If they're looking for something, some sort of validation, you know, from you or through you somehow, it's not your responsibility to give it to them. You're allowed to take care of yourself first and foremost, and you're allowed to really wait and see if someone is deserving of your trust or not. You're allowed to take care of your heart. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.